Breezy here, and we're going to have a quick discussion about aftermarket parts, China parts. Maybe they're made in Indonesia, Asia, Japan. Way back there, there's always Japan, but now it's China and India and Indonesia. There's a time when you really need to use manufactured parts, and I would say that's more so in the automotive when you're talking about electrical parts and stuff, or emission parts. But we're talking about mowers and four-wheelers, talking about something that's really cheap. Let me tell you honestly, the manufacturers probably don't even make 80% of the parts that are on their unit. They don't make the nuts and bolts. They don't make the transmissions. They don't make the engines. They don't make belts. They don't make wheels and tires. They don't make bearings. They don't make spindles, which is what we're going to talk about today, spindles. They don't make any of that stuff. They make the deck. They make the frame. They probably make the body panels. The electrical parts, they're getting from a supplier. They may make their own harness. I'm not sure about that, but it wouldn't surprise me if they're getting those from a supplier. So in this particular situation, we're working on the neighbor's Spartan. This Spartan it's a 2023, so actually it's only 2 years old. This is just the start of his third season. And already the bearing in the spindle has failed. And if you take a look at this spindle, you can see this spindle doesn't have any grease fittings. There's no grease fittings on this spindle. And what happens is, this particular case, this customer is notorious, say customer, he's actually my neighbor, is notorious for not cleaning his deck. And it just gets packed full of dirt. And you can see in this one, this bearing that we took out of here, that you can see where it blew all the grease out of it, and all the dust and grit and dirt just sits on this. And this bearing, you can't hear it on the phone, but it's all crunchy, and you can tell it just makes a horrific noise when it's on the mower. Anyway, those bearings for this spindle, those bearings are only $19 on Amazon. I assure you, these bearings are every bit as good as these bearings. And if I probably look real close at the writing on it, it'll probably tell me who makes this bearing. And I'd be surprised if it's a Timken or SKS, something that's quality. When I look at the bearing, it says PEER, whoever that is. I have no idea who that is. I'm sure it's, an Asian country. But anyway, let's take a look at the price of spindles. So if you buy the whole spindle assembly, which is an option, it's $166. $166 plus tax, so it's probably around $175 to buy all three spindles, where you can get the bearings for just $22. That is a huge difference. These bearings are not hard to put in. They're very easy. They just punched out with a punch. You don't need a press or anything. So my point here is, just if you want to save some money on your stuff, stop and think about it. The manufacturer isn't making those parts. They're getting them from someplace else, from a foreign supplier. So don't be afraid sometimes in a situation like this to use some aftermarket bearings or an aftermarket belt. Hey, if the belt breaks and you don't have good luck with it, hey, go ahead and spend the money and get another one. But at least you tried something else. But that's just a tip I wanted you to know on something we're working on. But I want you to know that keep in mind, cheap labor isn't always the best, and the best labor isn't cheap.